Hello students, welcome back to your biology class. Now, today we are going to learn about, like in the last class we had studied about oogenesis. Today we are going to see the leftover part of that oogenesis. Now, the leftover part is nothing but what is the structure of the ovum. So, first of all, to start with today's lecture, yes, good evening Siddhi, good evening Shubham. Hello both of you. So today we are going to first start with the structure of ovum. We are going to see that how does an ovum appear, what are the different parts of an ovum. The next part that we are going to see is the hormonal regulation. Like we had seen hormonal regulation in case of males, similarly here also we will see that how these regulation of oogenesis is done in case of females. And lastly we are going to study a very important topic, that is menstrual cycle. Okay, so yes, let us start now. Okay, so as I told you, the first thing that we are going to start today is the structure of an ovum. Okay, now here what you see in the picture is the ovum structure. Yes, hello Sahil. What we are going to see, first of all, you already know that the ovum, when does ovulation take place? It takes place on the 14th day, right? And what exactly is this 14th day, you will come to know when we also study about the menstrual cycle. But you know that when ovulation takes place, basically it is the secondary oocyte which is released from the ovary. What is being released? The secondary oocyte, and the secondary oocyte then travels through the fallopian tube and it enters then later on into the uterus, right? Okay. Yes, Sahil, no worries. You are a new student. We will see. I'm starting with this topic today. You just see the earlier video, so all the topics will be clear to you. And in case you are not understanding any of the topic by looking at the earlier videos, you can always message me. Okay, I'll be there to solve your doubts. You can call me. I can solve your doubts on call also. Okay. So as I was telling you, ovulation is exactly taking place at the secondary oocyte stage. ठीक है, वो secondary oocyte हो जाए जो कि ovary में से release होता है. ठीक है, तो अब exactly अगर हम लोग देखें तो उसका structure कैसे देता है? As you can see, this is the diagram that is given in your NCERT textbook. ठीक है, अब अगर इसको देखोगे ओवम के स्ट्रक्चर को, बेसिकली यहाँ पे न्यूक्लियस जो है वो नहीं दिखाया, बट ओवम, नाउ व्हाट यू सी इनसाइड हियर, द न्यूक्लियस, दिस इज द सेकेंडरी oocyte, be called as ooplasm. Now the immediate membrane that is actually present in the ovum, or what you say as the secondary oocyte, is the plasma membrane. What it is called as the plasma membrane, the immediate membrane that is covering the oocyte, that will be plasma membrane. ठीक है, अब plasma membrane के बाहर अगर आप ये जो green color का layer देख रहे हो, right, that green colored layer is nothing but the zona pellucida layer. आप लोगों को मैंने last class में बताया था, zona pellucida is an acellular layer. It is an acellular layer which is a jelly like layer, है ना. अब ये जो है जेली लाइक लेयर और प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन के बीच में आपको पिंक कलर का लेयर दिख रहा है, राइट? दैट पिंक कलर लेयर इज एक्चुअली अ वेकेंट स्पेस. दैट स्पेस इज कॉल्ड एज द पेरीवाइटलाइन स्पेस. क्या बोलते हैं उस स्पेस को? पेरीवाइटलाइन स्पेस. तो इमीडिएटली सराउंडिंग द ओवम विल बी द प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन, पहला मेम्ब्रेन हो गया. फिर जो दूसरा लेयर होता है वो होता है जोना पेल्यूसिडा का, बट इन दोनों के बीच में जो स्पेस रहता है, दैट स्पेस इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? पेरीवाइटलाइन स्पेस. Okay, now what are the role of all these things we are going to study later on when we study about fertilization. For the time being you just have to remember this much. ठीक है ना बच्चों? Okay, so अब ये आपको ग्रीन कलर का जो लेयर दिख रहा है, as I told you, that is the zona pellucida layer. Now, whenever the secondary oocyte is released from the ovary, that means whenever ovulation is taking place, surrounding the secondary oocyte is actually certain cells. Now, मैंने आप लोगों को last class में बताया था, complete follicle is not released from the ovary, right? Only some cell, I mean the secondary oocyte with certain follicular cells will be released, and the cells which are actually released along with the ovum, they are the cells of corona radiata. What are these cells called as? corona radiata. You can see here, it is mentioned here also, cells of corona radiata. That is the outermost layer of cells which is surrounding the ovum. Okay, to be exact to the point, it is not ovum also, it is yet to divide by second meiotic division, and that is just the secondary oocyte. Okay students, so this is how you can see an mature ovum, it is going to appear with the secondary oocyte present in it. And whenever, as you see here, there are 3 sperms present at a time. Now you also need to understand here one thing, that whenever insemination is taking place, millions of sperms will be released inside the female reproductive tract. So all those sperms, they are going to travel through the cervix, uterus, and they are going to reach up to the ampulla isthmus region of the fallopian tube. कौन से region तक पहुंचने वाले वो लोग? Ampulla isthmus region, where these process of fertilization can take place, right? Yes, Siddhi, the function of corona radiata cells is to just prevent the entry of sperm. It is a protective layer. When many of the sperms, you know, basically, as I told you, there will be millions of sperms that have entered. There will be thousands and thousands of sperms which will try to fertilize these ovum. So this corona radiata cells, they are going to prevent, keep a check that all the sperms do not fertilize the egg. Later on, there will be many molecular changes that are going to take place within the ovum, which will prevent fertilization of a single ovum by many sperms. Okay, so students, quickly tell me, is this clear, the structure of ovum? अगर आप लोगों को ovum का structure समझ में आ गया हो, then we are going to move next up to for the next topic, which is hormonal regulation in females. Yes, students? Okay, right. So what you see here is a flow chart of the female hormonal regulation. जैसे हम लोगों ने spermatogenesis में पढ़ा था that hypothalamus is the main gland which is going to release the hormone. Same thing will be there here. At puberty, what is going to happen? At puberty, the hypothalamus will be stimulated to release which hormone? Gonadotropin releasing hormone. Yes, you remember what does GnRH stand for? It stands for gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, now these hormone, as you can see, is actually released by what? Hypothalamus. The GnRH released from hypothalamus is going to stimulate the pituitary gland. Now, when the pituitary gland in females is stimulated, it is going to release 2 more hormones. One is FSH and another one is LH. FSH, what does FSH stand for? Follicle stimulating hormone. Yes, FSH stands for follicle stimulating hormone, and LH stands for luteinizing hormone. So both these hormones, they will be released from the pituitary gland in the female, and the FSH which is released, it is going to, actually both FSH and LH, they are going to act on the ovaries only, right? As you can see here, ovaries is written in middle. Now, in the ovary, FSH is specifically going to act on the developing follicles. It is going to act on the developing follicles, जो primary से secondary to tertiary. तो वो follicular development कब start होगा? जब FSH जो है वो release होगा from the pituitary gland. And when these follicles, they are developing, right? Primary is maturing to form secondary to tertiary. These developing follicles, they are going to release another female steroidal hormone called as estrogen. Yes? Can you understand this? Pituitary कौन सा hormone release करने वाला है? FSH. This FSH is going to act on the follicles, primary follicles of the ovary, which will start the development, and then the primary follicle gets converted to secondary to tertiary, like this. Okay, so when these developing follicles, they are going to release another female steroidal hormone, that is estrogen. Fine. And when more and more estrogen is secreted, this estrogen is actually going to create a positive as well as negative feedback. Positive feedback कौन से दिनों में होगा? From day 12 to 14, when the estrogen levels are rising. और 14th डे के बाद जो है it will tell the hypothalamus that yes, now stop the secretion of GnRH, otherwise what is going to happen, continuous FSH और LH जो है वो synthesize होता रहेगा, right? But यहाँ पे जब एस्ट्रोजन का concentration has reached up to the appropriate amount, it is going to tell the hypothalamus that stop the secretion of pituitary. Same time, it is also going to send the message to the pituitary gland to inhibit the secretion of FSH because already the follicular development has started. Okay, students, please students keep commenting here. Are you understanding this process? One part of hormonal regulation is completed. Do you understand that? So now we are going to move on to the next part. Now FSH is going to act on the follicles and initiate its development. What about LH? If the fertilization is not taking place, right? I mean, before actually the fertilization takes place, on the 14th day, what is going to take place? Ovulation, right? Now, once ovulation has taken place, if it gets fertilized, well and good, right? If the remaining cells that are present in the ovary, they are going to form a structure. I told you that day also, right? Remnants of the granulosa cells, follicular cells that are present in the ovary, they are going to form a yellow colored structure which is called as the corpus luteum. Yes, this corpus luteum is going to synthesize the second female steroid hormone, that is progesterone, and very less level of estrogen. But the main hormone that will be secreted by corpus luteum is progesterone. In case if the fertilization takes place, this progesterone hormone, the corpus luteum will remain as it is for 9 months. Right, so that the next follicle does not develop. और अगर fertilization नहीं हो रहा है, then slowly this corpus luteum is going to degenerate and the same process is going to start. जैसे ही प्रोजेस्टेरोन का कंसंट्रेशन कम हो गया, the hypothalamus will get an signal, फिर वो वापस क्या secrete करना स्टार्ट करेगा? GnRH. तो वापस process is going to continue like this. If there is more and more amount of progesterone secreted from the ovary or the corpus luteum, it is going to inhibit the secretion of FSH and LH from pituitary, as well as it is going to inhibit the release of GnRH from the hypothalamus. आप जो यहाँ पे देख रहे हो, प्लस साइन जो है वो स्टिम्युलेट कर रहा है, it indicated stimulation, and the minus sign is for inhibition. जब appropriate concentration, the level of hormones is going to reach to appropriate concentration, then inhibition is going to take place. Yes, students? Okay. So let us move ahead. Did you understand this complete hormonal regulation in female? It is very important topic, students. It can be asked in 2 to 3 marks. Okay. So make sure that you understand all these concepts. An extra point I can also tell you is that once ovulation has taken place, right, जो remaining follicular cells which are going to form the corpus luteum, they also release another hormone which is called as inhibin. To be very specific, जो granulosa cells होते हैं, okay, the granulosa cells which are remaining in the ovary, they are going to release another hormone called as inhibin. And this inhibin also stops the secretion of, it is going to create a negative effect and stop the secretion of FSH from the pituitary gland. Yes, students? Okay, so it is clear to Siddhi, it is clear to Shubham also. So moving ahead with the next part, see, I can see there are 4 to 5 students who are online. Other students, please, you also comment so that I can clearly understand and I can move ahead with the understanding of each and every student live here. ठीक है ना स्टूडेंट्स, तो अब हम जो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक करने वाले हैं वो बहुत अगेन इट इज एन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक एंड दैट इज मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल. Now this question is generally asked for 3 to 5 marks in your exam. ठीक है, अब now 3 to 5 marks when I'm saying it can be asked to, the examiner can ask you to write the complete theory, or according to the changed pattern of CBSE last year, they can also keep the diagram of menstrual cycle and there can be different questions asked based upon that. Okay students, so let us start the explanation of menstrual cycle. To be very honest too with you, menstrual cycle is a cycle which is going to take place in females every month, right? And there are many cyclic changes as a result of which these changes, you can see, they are going to occur in case of female. So let us study about these menstrual cycle. Now again, remember here one thing, menstrual cycle in females is going to start again at the age of puberty only. Yes, why? Because at puberty the hormones will be released and the cyclic changes of these hormones are actually going to be responsible for this menstrual cycle. And menstrual cycle is a characteristic of female primates. Characteristic of which organisms? Female primates. Primates मतलब कौन से organisms आ जाते हैं बच्चों? Apes will be there, right? And there will be humans. Apes, humans, monkeys, all these organisms, they come under class primata. तो इन ये primates जो होती है, इनके females जो है, they undergo these reproductive cycle which is called as the menstrual cycle. ठीक है? Now menstruation the term is used because there is periodic discharge of the blood along with the tissue, fluid and mucus that is present in the female genital tract. ठीक है, हम लोगों ने जब फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर पढ़ा था, that time what we had seen that the female body parts, right, the reproductive part has a womb or a uterus, and we had seen that uterus is made up of 3 layers, right? The outermost wall layer is called as perimetrium. Middle one is called as myometrium and the innermost one is the endometrium. So associated with this endometrium are the blood vessels, tissue itself. Here the word tissue itself means the endometrium wall. ठीक है, जो endometrium होता है uterus का, that part with the fluid and the mucus. All these things, they are periodically discharged in females every month, and this discharge of flow जो कि blood के form में body से बाहर निकलता है, that is called as the menstrual cycle. Now depending upon the female's body, physiology कैसा है, there are many, you will see, right, the physiology of different people is different. Some females, they are very healthy, some females, they are very thin. So depending upon their body morphology, structure, features, as well as the physiological part of a female, what is going to happen? The menstrual cycle will be having, it will appear in a female for specific days. On an average, the flow or the menstrual cycle in female lasts for 3 to 6 days. 3 to 6 days के लिए every month the female is going to observe or undergo these reproductive cyclic change, जिसको बोलते हैं menstrual cycle. और ये change या ये cycle, why does it appear in the female? Because there is change in the levels of estrogen and progesterone hormones. Why do these estrogen and progesterone hormone level change? That we will see when we study it in detail. Okay, now onset of menstrual cycle in females, as I told you, the menstrual cycle in females, it is going to start at the age of puberty, right? So at puberty, the onset, okay, the first menstruation, onset of the menstrual cycle in females is termed as menarche. Students, very important question for 1 mark. It can be asked in MCQ as well as it is asked in your entrance exams as well. Okay? So remember this term, onset of the menstrual cycle, or you can say the first menstruation when it appears in a female, that is termed to be menarche. ठीक है students? तो चलिए, अभी ये सब जो था वो सिर्फ इंट्रोडक्शन था. हमें एक्चुअली ये देखना है कि कितने phases होते हैं, right? And how these phases are actually leading to these cyclic changes. In short, what exactly happens during the menstrual cycle? The uterus endometrium is actually going to prepare itself for implantation. जब मैंने बोला कि ovulation हो रहा है from the ovary, right? This ovulation is actually a trigger for the uterus. जैसे ही ovary में से ovulation हो जाएगा, the secondary oocyte will be released. जो कॉर्पस लूटियम फॉर्म होता है वो क्या करने वाला है? इट इज गोइंग टू रिलीज द प्रोजेस्टेरॉन हार्मोन, राइट? So that progesterone hormone actually prepares the uterine wall. You can say the students, they are going, the uterus is prepared from, in case if the fertilization is going to take place, then implantation should take place. But normally, until and unless a female gets married and there is no relation, there is no copulation taking place, there will be no fertilization of the egg occurring, right? And as a result, every month these oocyte, it actually, the lining of the uterus is shed from the body. And this is, as I told you, termed as menstruation, or simple terms में इनको menses भी बोलते हैं. Okay students, just wait a minute. I can see that there is some network issue. Can you all hear me, students? Yes students, am I audible to you? Can you hear me? Or I can see on the screen there is some network or technical issue. Okay, right. Sorry students for the inconvenience. Because of heavy rain here, you might face in between some network issues. Okay, so as we told you, this phase will be termed as the menstruation phase, or it will be called as the menses. On an average, the menstrual cycle in a female is of 28 days. ठीक है, 1 to 28 डे तक का साइकिल होता है. आफ्टर 28 days again there is first day. That means even not 1 month is completed, but the immediately after the 28th day of the cycle finishes, what is called as the next day will be the first day. ठीक है, and when exactly is the ovum released? In between, that is at the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. I'll show you the diagram and I will tell you that how exactly does the ovum release, or why does the ovum release. Okay, so moving further to the next part. Yes, the complete menstrual cycle that appear in the female every month is actually consisting of 3 phases. Right? What are those 4 phases? All these 4 phases are menstrual phase. According to your textbook, it will be 3 phases. Okay, 1 day in between is considered as the ovulation day, but in many books you will find that ovulatory phase is also written, the day when ovulation is taking place. So here I have written that menstrual cycle can be divided into how many phases? 4 phases. And which are those 4 phases? Menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase and the luteal phase. ठीक है, menstrual phase कौन सा होगा? When exactly the female is undergoing her menses, जब bleeding हो रहा है, that phase is said to be the menstrual phase or the bleeding phase. अब जब भी साइकिल के first to 5 days is said to be the menstrual phase. जब जो टिश्यू है uterine wall along with the blood and the secondary oocyte is actually released from the body of the female, है ना? ठीक है, next जो होता है 6th to you can say somewhere 13th day. 6th to 13th day is called as the follicular phase. What it is called as? Follicular phase. 6th to 13th day. Now what exactly is happening during this follicular phase? Before the ovulation takes place, what is going to happen? The egg will be released out. Before the ovulation takes place, the follicles are developing. Primary से secondary, secondary से tertiary, ऐसे follicular development हो रहा है ना? जो हमने आगे पढ़ा था. तो वो सारा जो phase है, that phase will be termed as what? Follicular phase. ठीक है, इन मेनी बुक्स यू विल ऑल्सो फाइंड दैट फॉलिकुलर फेज जो है वो 1 to 13 भी दिखाया जाता है. जैसे कि आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पे ग्रीन कलर का जो पार्ट है फॉलिकुलर फेज, वो कहाँ से कहाँ तक का दिखाया है? 1st to 14th डे. ठीक है, अब एक्चुअली टू एवरेज अगर हम लोग डिवाइड करें तो जो एक बार मेंसेस जब आ रहा है, व्हेन द फीमेल इज अंडरगोइंग हर मेंसेस, इट इज फ्रॉम दैट डे ओनली व्हेन द स्मॉल फॉलिकल्स दे स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग. Otherwise, according to NCERT, you need to remember that follicular phase is of 6th to 13th day and not from 1 to 13. Exactly on the 14th day Exactly on the 14th day, ovulation, that means the ova, secondary oocyte will be released from the ovary, and that phase will be termed as the ovulatory phase. The process is said to be ovulation. Students, आप लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है what I am trying to say? If not, please mention it in the comment box. See students, it is very important to understand this menstrual cycle because it is actually this cyclic change that takes place every month in a female, which is also an important part for a female to get pregnant. तो इसके बाद जब हम लोग fertilization या pregnancy सब पढ़ने वाले हैं, at that time again this is very important. Okay, fine. So the last phase as you see here is called as a luteal phase. अब luteal phase जो है वो कब होता है शुरू? After release of the egg, and you can say that it is from the 15th to the 28th day. 15 से 28 डे का जो टाइम होगा वो कौन सा होगा? luteal phase का होगा. अब आप लोग समझ लो, menstrual phase में एक्चुअली क्या हो रहा है? ब्लड फ्लो, यानी कि आप यू कैन से ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है. फॉलिकुलर फेज में क्या हो रहा है? देयर इज डेवलपमेंट ऑफ द फॉलिकल्स टेकिंग प्लेस, है ना बच्चों. ओव्यूलेटरी फेज में क्या होता है? ओव्यूलेशन, यानी कि सेकेंडरी oocyte विल बी रिलीज्ड फ्रॉम द ओवरी एंड इट इज देन गोइंग टू एंटर इनटू द fallopian duct or the fallopian tube where it is going to wait for the sperm for fertilization. And in the ovary, ovulation तो हो गया, but ovary में जो follicular cells and granulosa cells are left, those cells they are going to form what? Corpus luteum, and that corpus luteum which is formed will be termed, that phase of formation of corpus luteum is said to be the luteal phase. Okay students, so as you can see here in the chart I have written, the pink phase is showing the menstruation phase, green part is for the follicular phase, ovulation. Now actually as I told you, physiology of every girl is different, right? Every female is different. So किसी में अगर आप लोग देखोगे तो cycle जो है on an average, जो normal population की अगर हम लोग बात करें तो क्या हो जाता है? On an average the cycle is of 28 to 29 days. ठीक है, 28 days का अगर cycle होता है then ovulation is going to take place on the 14th day. And if the cycle is of 29 days, it is going to take place, ovulation takes place on the 15th day. ठीक है, 28th day, 28 day का cycle है, then ovulation will take place on 14th day, and if it is a 29 day cycle, ovulation is going to take place on 15th day. But the period from, you can say 11th to 18th day is said to be the fertile period. कौन सा पीरियड बोलते हैं इसको? फर्टाइल पीरियड. Normally, if a female wants to get pregnant, copulation should be allowed in these days because as a result of copulation within these days, there are maximum chances of getting pregnant. Okay, and as you see, the last from these orange colored phase, what you see is the luteal phase. It is during this luteal phase that the corpus luteum is going to develop. Yes? Okay students, I am getting response from Siddhi and Shubham. Others, you also please reply so that we can clearly understand here. Yes. Sahil is also understanding. Thank you students for the reply. Now, what you see here is the complete figure of menstrual cycle. Now, what you see in this figure are the events that are taking place in the ovary as well as the uterus. यहाँ पे जो आप देख रहे हो वो क्या है? Ovarian events है. Below what you see is the uterine events. अब ये events क्या है और what exactly is happening for at each and every day in the menstrual cycle, that we are going to see. Right? As you see here on the x-axis, it is written the number of days, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, up till 29 days they have mentioned. Okay, so here you can see that in this diagram, the menstrual cycle is of 29 days. Okay, now what is going to happen here? As I told you, at puberty, first of all, hypothalamus is going to release GnRH, and that GnRH which is released, it is going to activate, it is going to stimulate the pituitary gland to release its hormone. And which are the hormones that will be released by the pituitary gland? FSH and LH. So आप देख सकते हो FSH और LH का जैसे ही secretion start हो रहा है, as soon as FSH is being released, it is ovary में क्या हो रहा है? FSH जो कि पिट्यूटरी से रिलीज हुआ है, इट इज एक्टिवेटिंग द फॉलिकल्स इन द ओवरी टू स्टार्ट इट्स डेवलपमेंट. सो slowly what you see is there is development of the follicles taking place. Now when these follicles are developing, what you can see, the developing follicles, they are going to release which hormone? Estrogen hormone. And as a result of these estrogen hormone which is synthesized, slowly you will also see that after 7th day, you can see here after 7th day, from the 9th day you can see that uterus का जो lining है वो और ज्यादा thick हो रहा है. फर्स्ट 5 days मैंने आप लोगों को क्या बोला था, कौन सा फेज है? मेंस्ट्रुएशन फेज, व्हेन द फीमेल इज अंडरगोइंग द ब्लीडिंग प्रोसेस. ठीक है, वो ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है, उसकी वजह से अब ड्यूरिंग दैट ब्लीडिंग ओनली FSH का जो कंसंट्रेशन इंक्रीज हो रहा है, दैट इज गोइंग टू अलाउ द फॉलिकल्स प्रेजेंट इन द ओवरी टू स्टार्ट इट्स डेवलपमेंट. जैसे जैसे फॉलिकल्स का डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, द डेवलपिंग फॉलिकल्स आर रिलीजिंग द एस्ट्रोजन हार्मोन, एंड रिलीज्ड एस्ट्रोजन हार्मोन्स, इट टेल्स द यूट्राइन वॉल दैट ओके यू नीड टू अगेन प्रिपेयर योरसेल्फ फॉर द नेक्स्ट मंथ. ठीक है, now this part when the follicles are developing, as I told you, from 6th to 13th day is said to be the follicular phase, या फिर उसको proliferative phase भी बोलते हैं. कौन सा phase बोलते हैं? proliferative phase, क्योंकि proliferate cells जो है वो divide हो रहे हैं, इसीलिए उसको proliferative phase भी बोला जाएगा. Now on the 14th day, right here, on 14th day, all of a sudden what happens is, from the pituitary there will be sudden increase in LH hormone and a minute increase in the FSH also. But that sudden increase in the concentration of LH, this phenomenon, no, it is termed as LH surge. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? LH surge. Because of the sudden increase, peak rise in the LH hormone from the pituitary gland, what happens is ovulation. Again, very important question is asked in 1 mark. नीट में हर बार एक क्वेश्चन तो हॉर्मोन्स फ्रॉम द मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल के हॉर्मोन रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आता है. सो व्हाट यू नीड टू रिमेंबर हियर इज ओव्यूलेशन क्यों होता है? बिकॉज ऑफ द LH सर्ज, द इंक्रीज इन द कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ LH दैट इज बीइंग रिलीज्ड फ्रॉम द पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड. एम आई क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? So LH surge की वजह से क्या हो रहा है? Ovulation. And as you can see, because the follicles are developing, and up till 13th day, जब ovulation के पहले तक एस्ट्रोजन का concentration जो है वो कैसा है? Maximum, right? Once LH has been increased, ovulation हो रहा है, तो after ovulation what you see, there is decrease in estrogen concentration. Estrogen hormone का जो concentration है वो क्या हो रहा है? कम हो रहा है ovulation के बाद. And this follicular cells which were remaining in the ovary, वो क्या form कर रहे हैं? They are forming the corpus luteum. And once the development of corpus luteum starts in the ovary, that developing corpus luteum is going to release another hormone, that is progesterone. You can see here the red line depicts the progesterone hormone, है ना बच्चों? तो corpus luteum जो develop हो रहा है, that is going to increase the concentration of progesterone. And increased progesterone concentration, जैसे ही progesterone का concentration increase होता है, uterine का जो thickening है वो बहुत ज्यादा और ज्यादा बढ़ने लग जाता है. Can you see the thickness of the uterus wall is increasing and increasing. Okay, in case ये जो ovum release हुआ है उसका fertilization हो जाएगा, then the corpus luteum remains in the ovary as it is for 9 months, जिसकी वजह से progesterone का concentration भी जो है वो क्या रहेगा? increased ही रहेगा. So the wall of the uterus also remains thick so that it can provide nutrition to the developing embryo. But if fertilization is not taking place, corpus luteum is also going to slowly degenerate. वो धीरे धीरे degenerate हो जाएगा. This structure is called as corpus albicans. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Corpus albicans, the degenerating structure of corpus luteum. And क्योंकि corpus luteum degenerate हो रहा है, what you can see, progesterone का concentration जो है वो वापस कम हो गया, है ना? प्रोजेस्टेरोन का कंसंट्रेशन कम हो रहा है, दैट इज अ सिग्नल टू द पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड कि क्या होने वाला है? फर्टिलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ है. सो नाउ दिस ओवम अलोंग विद द यूट्राइन लाइनिंग हैज टू बी रिमूव्ड आउट. सो नाउ द फीमेल विल अंडरगो द नेक्स्ट साइकिल. और वो नेक्स्ट साइकिल जो है वापस यहीं से कंटिन्यू होगा। जैसे ही प्रोजेस्टेरॉन का लेवल कम हो गया, पिट्यूटरी पे किसका लेवल इंक्रीज हो जाएगा, एफएसएच और एलएच का कंसंट्रेशन बढ़ जाएगा। सो अगेन द साइकिल इज गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू। Yes students, again the follicles will start developing. So that developing follicles, they will release estrogen. Estrogen की वजह से यूट्रस का थोड़ा थोड़ा lining thick होता है. Again on the 14th day ovulation is going to take place, and like this the cycle is going to continue every month. One thing that you need to remember students is that this every month alternate ovary is going to produce the ovum. This month if the left ovary has produced the ovum, then next month the right ovary is going to release the ovum. Okay, now this is just the theoretical part that you can understand from this diagram. As you can see here, FSH and LH, you need to clearly remember the students. FSH and LH जो है वो pituitary hormones होते हैं, whereas estrogen और progesterone कहाँ से release होते हैं? They are called as ovarian hormones. कहाँ से release होते हैं? वो ovary में से release होते हैं, and उनका release तभी होगा when FSH and LH release takes place. Okay, tell me students, did you understand these complete menstrual cycle? Of course, I'll be explaining you the theoretical part again. I'll be showing you the content as well. But tell me, is this idea of menstrual cycle clear to you? बहुत important questions है students. इस पे concept based questions जो है वो बहुत सारे आते हैं exam में. You know, last year ही CBSE का pattern change हुआ है. So अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट पैटर्न बहुत सारे कंसेप्चुअल क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, सिर्फ डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस जो है नहीं आते हैं. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to again tell you this complete cycle in a glance. Okay, yes, Siddhi again she wants me to explain the cycle, so I will give you a quick idea about these menstrual cycle. ठीक है, I will okay, Shubham also wants me to explain it again. Yes students, I will explain it to you again. ठीक है, चलो वापस आ जाते हैं. हम लोग क्या देख रहे हैं? पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड. हमने जो हार्मोनल रेगुलेशन देखा, प्यूबर्टी पे क्या हो रहा है? देयर इज रिलीज ऑफ एफएसएच एंड एलएच फ्रॉम द पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड. अब वो जो एफएसएच हार्मोन रिलीज हो रहा है वो ब्लड में रिलीज होता है. ब्लड के थ्रू एफएसएच हार्मोन जो है इट इज गोइंग टू ट्रैवल अप टू द ओवरी. ओवरी में जो प्राइमरी फॉलिकल्स होते हैं उन प्राइमरी फॉलिकल्स को स्टिम्युलेट करता है एफएसएच टू स्टार्ट द डेवलपमेंट. मतलब प्राइमरी फॉलिकल्स जो है वो सेकेंडरी से टर्शरी से ग्राफियन एंड फाइनल इट इज गोइंग टू बिकम अ मैच्योर फॉलिकल. ठीक है ना. अंडर द इफेक्ट ऑफ एफएसएच दैट इज रिलीज फ्रॉम द पिट्यूटरी, डेवलपमेंट ऑफ दीज फॉलिकल्स इज गोइंग टू टेक प्लेस इन द ओवरी. एंड जैसे जैसे ये ओवरी का फॉलिकल्स का डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, दीज डेवलपमेंट फॉलिकल्स दे स्टार्ट रिलीजिंग द एस्ट्रोजन हार्मोन. सो जिसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है? देयर विल बी अ स्लाइट इंक्रीज इन द एस्ट्रोजन कंसंट्रेशन. यूट्रस में उसी टाइम पे यूट्रस में क्या हो रहा है? मेंसेस. द फीमेल इज अंडरगोइंग हर मेंसेस. शी सफरिंग फ्रॉम हर पीरियड्स लाइक यू कॉल इन द नॉर्मल टर्म, एंड दैट पीरियड्स इट इज गोइंग टू लास्ट फॉर 1 to 5 days, which that phase is said to be the menstrual phase, menstruation phase. ठीक है. तो menstruation phase में क्या होता है? The FSH that is released from the pituitary gland acts on the developing follicles, which will start its development. But in turn, in the uterus, what is happening? There is sloughing off of the uterine wall along with the blood, जिसको हम लोग menses बोलते हैं या menstruation भी बोल सकते हैं. Okay, students, fine. Now, this follicular development is going to continue up till the 13th day. 13th डे तक क्या होने वाला है? मेंस्ट्रुएशन के बाद जो फॉलिकल का डेवलपमेंट है उसको 13 डेज लगने वाले कंप्लीटली फॉलिकल्स को डेवलप होने के लिए. सो दैट फेज इज सेड टू बी द सेकेंड फेज विच इज द फॉलिक्यूलर फेज और द प्रोलिफरेटिव फेज. ओके स्टूडेंट्स, नाउ ऑन द 14th डे, as I told you, अगर साइकिल 28 डेज का है तो ओव्यूलेशन कब होगा? 14th डे. एंड इफ द साइकिल इज ऑफ 29 डेज, ओव्यूलेशन इज गोइंग टू टेक प्लेस ऑन द 15th डे. नाउ व्हेन द ovulation, I mean the follicles development has been completed, what is going to happen? LH surge. LH surge का मतलब क्या होता है? SURG का मतलब होता है sudden increase. Sudden increase means surge. तो all of a sudden on the 14th day there is LH surge. LH जो luteinizing hormone है उसका concentration बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाएगा और वो increase in concentration of the LH finally results in what? Ovulation. That means release of the secondary oocyte from the ovary. Okay, and once ovulation has taken place, आप देख रहे हो डेवलपिंग फॉलिकल्स के टाइम पे मैक्सिमम कंसंट्रेशन था एस्ट्रोजन का, बट जैसे ही ओव्यूलेशन हो गया सेकेंडरी oocyte तो रिलीज हो गया ओवरी में से, अब क्या बच गया? The follicular and the granulosa cells are remaining in the ovary, right? So those remaining cells, they are going to form a yellow body which is called as the corpus luteum. This phase is said to be the luteal phase or the secretory phase. ये जो corpus luteum form हुआ in the ovary from the leftover follicular and the granulosa cells, it is going to release the second steroidal hormone of female, that is progesterone. एस्ट्रोजन के इफेक्ट में ऑलरेडी थोड़ा थोड़ा थिकनिंग जो था यूट्रस का वो तो स्टार्ट हो गया था, बट मैक्सिमम थिकनिंग यू विल फाइंड इज अंडर द इफेक्ट ऑफ प्रोजेस्टेरोन हार्मोन. ठीक है, and if you see or observe very clearly, it is somewhere between 21st to 23rd day when the thickening of the uterus is maximum. ये जो है क्या है? Maximum thickness of the यूट्राइन वॉल. क्यों वो मैक्सिमम होता है इसके पीछे भी एक लॉजिक है बच्चों. लिसन हियर, 14th डे पे पूरा साइकिल जैसे कि मैंने आप लोगों को क्या बोला 28 डेज का अगर है, 14th डे व्हाट इज टेकिंग प्लेस? ओव्यूलेशन. इफ ड्यूरिंग दिस time coitus has taken place or copulation has taken place, the sperms they must have traveled up to the fallopian tube where they will meet the ova and fertilization between the egg and the sperm is going to take place, right? So this fertilization results into the formation of zygote. क्या होने वाला है? फर्टिलाइजेशन के रिजल्ट की वजह से क्या फॉर्म होने वाला है? जाइगोट. नाउ दिस जाइगोट, एग्जैक्टली जाइगोट कहां पे फॉर्म हो रहा है? इफ आई से दैट दिस इज द इनफंडिबुलम, ठीक है, ये पूरा यूट्रस का पार्ट है. फाइन. सो द फर्टिलाइजेशन हैज एक्चुअली टेकिंग प्लेस हियर. सो द नाउ दिस जाइगोट हैज टू ट्रैवल डाउन एंड इट हैज टू एंटर इन द यूट्रस. तो यहां से यहां तक आने के लिए दिस मच टाइम, once the zygote is formed till the next day, let us suppose कि fertilization जो है वो कौन से डे पे हुआ है? it has taken place on the 15th day. So 15th day से लेकर उसको the zygote has to reach up to the zygote. For this it requires approximately 7 days. How many days are required? 7 days. So I can say that after 7 days of fertilization, what is going to take place? Implantation. तो अगर आप लोग करोगे 15 plus 7, you will get 22. राइट, 15 + 7 22 to 20. तो ऑलमोस्ट ऑन 22 और 23rd अगर आप लोग देखोगे तो यूट्रस का थिकनेस जो होता है वो भी मैक्सिमम है, क्योंकि एट दिस टाइम द इम्प्लांटेशन इज गोइंग टू टेक प्लेस हियर. ये रहा सेकेंडरी oocyte जो कि यूट्रस की लाइनिंग के साथ अटैच हो जाएगा एंड दैट प्रोसेस विल बी टर्म्ड एज इम्प्लांटेशन. ठीक है, बट हियर if fertilization is not taking place, what is going to happen? These corpus luteum which was formed in the ovary is going to degenerate slowly, and when the degeneration of corpus luteum starts, the concentration of progesterone hormone also decreases, and with the decrease in the concentration of progesterone, your uterus का जो lining है वो वापस lose हो जाता है, it starts getting sloughed off, and it is again going to, the female enters into her next menstrual cycle. As you can see here, it is written, the next cycle begins. This will be her first day. Did you now understand, students, the complete idea of menstrual cycle? It is very, very important to understand this. Okay, so now moving forward to just the theory part. As you can see, menstrual phase is the first phase of menstrual cycle, which is going to last for 3 to 5 days. And what happens in this menstrual phase? Breakdown of the endometrial lining as well as the blood vessels. याद रखना है students, नॉर्मली यूट्रस, अगर मैं ये यूट्रस आप लोग को बताऊं, ठीक है, तो ये पेरीमेट्रियम है, बीच में ये मायोमेट्रियम का लेयर है, एंड जो एंडोमेट्रियम का लेयर है, ये एंडोमेट्रियम, दिस एंडोमेट्रियम विल बी फॉर्म्ड, ये हर महीने फॉर्म होगा, सो दैट अगर फर्टिलाइजेशन हो रहा है तो इम्प्लांटेशन करने के लिए, तो यहाँ पे इसको बहुत सारे ब्लड वेसल्स एंड सब चीजों का सप्लाई होता है. अगर फर्टिलाइजेशन नहीं हो रहा, देन दिस एंडोमेट्रियम, दिस कंप्लीट लेयर, यू कैन सी हियर दिस पार्ट, ये कंप्लीट एंडोमेट्रियम का जो लाइनिंग है, इट विल बी रिमूव्ड आउट, जिसको हम लोग जनरली इन कॉमन टर्म्स ब्लीडिंग भी बोलते हैं, एंड इट कम्स आउट थ्रू दी वजाइनल ओपनिंग. ठीक है, एंड व्हेन दिस फेज इज गोइंग टू अपीयर व्हेन देयर इज नो फर्टिलाइजेशन टेकिंग प्लेस. In case if a female has undergone coitus and if she is not getting periods or the cycle next time, this can be an indication that she is pregnant, but of course only if coitus has taken place. Okay, next phase is the follicular phase. As I told you, you can also call this from 1 to 14 days or from 6 to 13 days. ठीक है, it is followed, this menstrual phase will be followed by the follicular phase, during which the primary follicle grows to form the Graafian follicle and the endometrium is going to regenerate. Regeneration is under the effect of estrogen and progesterone that is released by the ovarian cells. Okay, now at this particular time during the follicular phase, the gonadotropins FSH and LH increase and stimulate the follicular development. जैसे कि मैंने बोला, primary follicle से secondary follicle बनेगा, secondary से tertiary, and like this mature follicle will be formed, and in turn these maturing follicles, they are going to release which hormone? Estrogen hormone. ठीक है, जब LH और FSH 14th डे पे सडन इंक्रीज हो जाएगा उनके कंसंट्रेशन पे, दे आर गोइंग टू रिजल्ट इन ओव्यूलेशन, एंड रिमेनिंग ग्राफियन फॉलिकल सेल्स, दे रिजल्ट इन द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ अ येलो बॉडी विच इज कॉल्ड एज कॉर्पस लूटियम. वो जो येलो कलर वहां पे था वो ऐसे ही नहीं था, बिकॉज द कॉर्पस लूटियम अपीयर्स येलो इन कलर, दैट स्ट्रक्चर वाज केप्ट देयर एज इट इज. ओके, yes, as you can see here, LH surge, ये क्या डिपिक्ट कर रहा है? LH surge, जिसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है? Ovulation is taking place here, and because of increased concentration of progesterone, what you see, there is maximum thickening of the uterine lining. और ये progesterone का maximum thickening किसकी वजह से हो रहा है? Corpus luteum के formation की वजह से हो रहा है students. Okay, this is the same picture that I have kept here in case if there is any kind of confusion. Yes. Third phase is, as I told you, the luteal phase. Luteal phase तब start होता है जब ओवरी में क्या फॉर्मेशन हो चुका है? कॉर्पस लूटियम का फॉर्मेशन हो चुका है, and these corpus luteum, it is going to release another female steroidal hormone called as progesterone. ठीक है, the endometrium will be developed completely for implantation, but if fertilization is not taking place, the endometrium is going to shed off. और अगर प्रेगनेंसी है तो ये एंडोमेट्रियम का जो लाइनिंग है वो वैसा का वैसा ही रहेगा. Okay, and once the shedding of the endometrial lining takes place, the next cycle in the female is going to start. ठीक है? Yes, here as you see, progesterone level decreases when the corpus luteum degenerates. मैंने बोला था कॉर्पस लूटियम का जो ओरिजिनल स्ट्रक्चर ऐसा पूरा बड़ा फ्लावर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर दिखता है वो, ठीक है, जब उसका डीजनरेशन स्टार्ट हो जाएगा और वो बहुत छोटा सा हो जाएगा, देन दिस स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द कॉर्पस लूटियम, द डीजनरेटिंग स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कॉर्पस लूटियम इज कॉल्ड एज कॉर्पस एल्बिकान्स. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? कॉर्पस एल्बिकान्स. Now, in males we had seen that, you know, the fertility is throughout the life, but in case of females, once the female reaches up to the age of 45 to 50 years, the menstruation cycle stops. The female does not undergo the menstrual cycle after the age, or you can say between the age of 45 to 50, and that phase is said to be menopause. जैसे स्टार्ट को मेनार्क बोलते थे, जब वो स्टॉप होता है, दैट फेज इज सेड टू बी व्हाट? मेनोपॉज. ओके स्टूडेंट्स, now there are many females in whom you will find that the menstrual cycle is irregular, so again that are different terms. There are some females in which you will find that menstrual cycle is completely absent. In those females where menstrual cycle is completely absent, that condition is called as amenorrhea. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Amenorrhea. That condition wherein the menstrual cycle does not appear in a female. Okay, students. So I hope this is clear to you, the complete menstruation cycle. In the next class, we will study about fertilization. राइट हमने एक एस्पेक्ट पढ़ लिया कि अगर ओवम रिलीज हो रहा है और वो फर्टिलाइज नहीं होता है तो क्या होने वाला है. इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास वी विल सी दैट इन केस व्हेन द ओव्यूलेशन इज टेकिंग प्लेस, ओवम इज रिलीज्ड और अगर फर्टिलाइजेशन हो गया, देन व्हाट विल बी द यू कैन से द phenomenons that will be taking place later, right? So I hope you have clearly understood the students. Thank you so much for coming live and commenting here, understanding the concepts. We will soon meet another day and we are going to continue further. Thank you so much, students.